Hello everyone. Please let me know guys if you can hear me. Just waiting everyone to join in. Okay. So we have Artem, CEO of testRigor. So we'll start now. So let me just welcome him. Hi Artem.
Hi Sanjay, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
It's been quite some time. Last time I guess around 1 year back we did a session together. So this is the second one. And the topic is like really exciting. This generative AI. I mean, this is the talk of the town these days. Pretty much in all the conferences, webinars, everywhere. So very much looking forward to it. Like what you have in plate. I mean, I remember like sometime back you gave me a kind of like short, quick demo about it, and I really liked it and really excited to see like a long and very descriptive demo on this and to learn. Looking forward to learn more about it. So we are live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So stage is yours. You can share your screen and everything. And yeah, I hope all of you on the call can hear us and everything is cool.
Yes. So basically, it's very exciting, right? So generative AI opened absolutely new opportunities, and I believe the future of QA will involve working with AI in particular. So it's not just the same thing as it used to be anymore. You also have to know how to deal with AI in order to be productive. And uh, let me show you why we're doing stuff and what did we do, some examples, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Lots of people are saying hi. Thanks all
Hello,
for
everyone.
joining. Very good evening, good morning. Yep. So your screen is shared and we can see it.
Yes, so the problem that still exists today that uh, 30% of all test cases are automated today in 2023, which is quite shocking if you think about it, because the test automation tools had been around from 1990s. Mercury Interactive released majority of those in 1990s. Um, Still, we're not there yet, significantly not there, and there are a couple of reasons for that. So number one, of course, it's hard and slow to build that test automation, but most importantly, engineers kept out on how many tests they can maintain. At around what we have seen, about 350 test cases per person, it becomes full-time job to just maintain tests. And basically, this is the number one reason why companies usually stuck at around 30%, is because, hey, everybody builds all the tests they can maintain, and that's it. It doesn't matter if you build more tests. If you can't maintain them, you just go stale and die at some point. So that's kind of a big problem that we help to solve to our customers. And with recent generative AI advancements, it becomes very exciting. So first of all, what we can help with, this is a little bit work in progress. The first step is, well, building the test cases themselves. So I got a Best Buy here website. It's large electronics e-commerce website in the United States. So let me paste in here. In a test suite, usually would provide username and password, and let's build a description. So this is as you can see, just giving a description of what your website does, or mobile application or native desktop application. testRigor supports all of those, and create a suite.
Just a short description, maybe like one or two
Yes.
liner, is it?
Well, the longer the better, actually, because I just, have not very good imagination about Best Buy, but I'm sure people who work for Best Buy can give it much better description. And I generated, I selected five test cases to what are the most important to test. You can modify them here. I don't know, doesn't make any sense. So I want to go for something more specific, like Kindle here. Here, for it to be able to do it, you need to find something first, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, there are some still modifications might be required. In some cases, we're working on improving that, but then you generate test cases. So what happens is you get a number of test cases here in testRigor, and each of them will be picked up by, well, human emulator, is in a sense what testRigor is, and it will build actual end-to-end test case step by step. So the way it works, I'm not gonna go through probably. So the way it works is basically, well, testRigor opens the URL which we have provided, in this case Best Buy URL, and then it starts to execute step by step, figure out what can be done on this screen given this specific prompt. And as you can see, it's just entering Kindle in here, and that's it. So search for Kindle. So I found some Kindles right there. All right.
So all these steps, it is making and picking it through AI from that description which you have given about your website, right?
Correct. Yes. So you can do it here. If you're creating a new one, you can paste the description. And instead of writing the steps for your test case, you can say, please use the AI to build this test for me based on this description. Well, sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't work exactly as you would expect, but it does not matter, because if it can help you to some degree, that's great. So next thing that we realized is that, hey, well, maybe that's not going to work oftentimes, because sure, it can work for some checkout flow and maybe something which is common knowledge, but how about people's more sophisticated systems, right? Where we need to log in and do different things, and some of them is pretty specific. So for that, basically what we come up with is functions which are executed purely by AI every single time. So so what this does is it will build the test case for you, and then you will be able to modify the steps of it right there. As you can see, it does a search and stuff like that. However, you can also do it in steps yourself. You can say, hey, enter here and there. Let's do that exactly. So let's find, let's say, search Kindle and edit the shopping cart. Okay, so you can write anything in here. So let's save. It says, "Hey, I have no clue what you're talking about. You do not have these whatever we call rules, or you might call functions defined. So you can create an empty functions, substitute it with something existing if it's or just comment it out, or you can use AI to every single time figure out what needs to be done in this particular case." Let's do update and retest. And I'm trying to fail here intentionally. I know that's not going to work. Anyway, so getting back to that original one, which we kicked off, as you can see here, enter Kindle, clicked on Kindle, clicked add to cart, and that's it. So you can see the steps and modify them here. Let's say you don't care which exactly Kindle provide you selecting, and you can modify the stuff here, right? Moreover, you might say, you know what, these particular steps, I don't want it to be that specific. I want it, I just wanted to get some Kindle. And let's do that. So let's write it as this. As you can see here, the intermingle two different types of instructions. So this testRigor doesn't know what to do with. So this will be executed by AI. This is something testRigor knows how to do, and there is a documentation on all specific instructions you can work with in here. If you have something specific like this, you can just outline and you can see anything you can do specifically in here. So that is not executed by AI, it's executed directly by testRigor. So you can basically merge those. Sometimes you want it to be more vague in this case because you don't care how exactly you get a Kindle. Sometimes you want to be specific because you want to make sure that you don't somehow get to the cart, but there must be a button add to cart. You must be able to click it, otherwise the whole flow does not make sense. So let's kick it off. Yes, that doesn't exist. All right, so we kicked off that one, and let's see what happened with our short one. As you can see here, where we used two rules which are purely AI based. So if you look into steps here, so when instructed to find, it entered Kindle into search bar and then stopped there. And the next function kicked in, which was supposed to add it to the cart. There's nothing to add to the cart yet, so I decided to click to the cart on the cart button. This is definitely not what we want in there. And In the cart, there were some products, so it clicked on add to cart on one of those products, which was already in the cart. Definitely not what we need. And it got to checkout flow there, right? So now, how do you deal with this, right? This is definitely not what we expected. And what it doesn't do, it doesn't click on any of specific Kindles in here. And there are two ways how to deal with this. Well, first of all, you can modify whatever you give it as a prompt. So those from generative AI terminology, these instructions which you give to AI called prompts. And modifying this instruction is called prompt engineering. So you can basically resort to prompt engineering and say, hey, find Kindle and select. So you can do this. This is one way of dealing with this. Or what you can do is you can go to those reusable rules, or this is how we call those functions. As you can see, there are no steps in here because by default it executes by AI, but you can say, you know what, I do want steps. I can enter any find. You can find there, and you can click Kindle Paperwhite. Some Kindle Paperwhite. I don't care which one, but some of them. And this is basically what you're doing is you're saying here, hey, I don't want to use AI here. I know exactly how it should function, and I want to use this. So if you resort to correcting the steps as opposed to fine-tuning the prompt, like it has upsides and downsides. Well, the downside is that every single time it will execute the same steps now, right? It is like literally exactly what you have written there. So there must be a Kindle Paperwhite. There must be an input which is related to find or search. testRigor will automatically deal with synonyms for you. And so if application changes tangibly, let's say there's a flow changes, right? Let's say you now need to click on a search button. Here, as you can see, the search is visible right away. But sometimes you first need to click on the search button in order to make this search appear visible. Then you wouldn't be able to figure that out because you specified exact specific steps. So it will fail. So therefore, depending on do you care or you do not care about how you get to certain places, so your best bet would be either using the AI-based rules purely based on AI, or every single time, like in this one. So there are no steps specified. It will always execute it using AI. And if Best Buy were to introduce this button to open up a search bar, it will find and click on it. Or sometimes this is not what you want. Maybe you say, hey, this is a specification by product management. This is how it must function. I don't care if it changes, it's a bug. Then you basically take advantage of AI figured out it once. You can uncheck AI, fine tune the steps as the way you want it to be, you want it to work, and just deal with those steps like that. All right. So now, if because we made this find Kindle not AI rule, but just testRigor rule with sequence of steps like a function, now it should work. And here is, I believe, should be an example how it works. So in this case, it was saying search for Kindle and find a Kindle and select one, right? Well, it's search for Kindle, and I clicked on a Kindle verb, but it doesn't open the product. It opens the list of products because it's search, and when I clicked on the first one in there, so I clicked add to cart. So in this one, as you can see here, first find the Kindle and executes instructions which we specify, and oops, that's not going to work here. This is very interesting use case. So how do you deal in testRigor with this kind of pop-ups? And
So here it has automatically handled.
yeah, so basically because we didn't use AI here, so this pop-up really messes up the flow now, right? So that's gonna be broken. It's not gonna work. So you need to close this pop-up, and there are several ways how you can do it. You can at the beginning explicitly say, click no thanks, or you can add yet again a rule. Well, what does it say? No, comma, thanks. Okay, great. You can add a rule, go close, pop up. It will click on no thanks. But it will only do it in the first potentially 2 steps. 2 steps. It does it at most 1, and it will only apply it if, which means no thanks. So it will only apply it if this button is available. So this way, in any test case, and any first 2 steps, if this pop-up appears, it will automatically detect it and close it for you. So it doesn't matter like if it were or not were, or when. Let's kick it off here again. Anyway, so point being is you can get a lot of help from AI building these test cases, right? So first of all, it will well basically build some of it for you automatically out of the box to a point where you can start by copy pasting your manual test cases in here. Might not work, but you will be able to fix it. So it's just saving of time as much as it's technically possible. This is what you're looking for here. But most importantly, if you will engage AI, especially AI-based rules, then you will be leveraging AI in figuring out how to go through certain things. And therefore, I'm sure there are a lot of situations you can think of where you don't care how you get there. You just need to get there because this is where your your test case actually starts, and this is what this is for, right? So if engineers will be changing and how system works, and those changes would be basically from humans perspective, you can do the same thing easily. Here is kind of common sense, common knowledge to do it differently. Then AI will be able to figure it out for you. So that's kind of an advantages, and that allows you to pay less attention to test maintenance and focus. So you can focus on building the tests. Okay, so here we go. Here, as you can see, find the Kindle now executes the steps in this particular case. Pop-up didn't appear, but if it would, it will close it. Anyway, I guess I want to make sure that I start answering
Yes.
all the questions in there. I see there were a lot.
So let me put some of the question here so that will be helpful and make people more engaging. So yeah, here the very first one is from is this application open for all?
Well, it is. It's public, right? In that sense. So basically, yeah, if you go to if you go to testRigor, there's a menu in there, and you can sign up. And you'll see there are different options. There is a private free trial where everything you do with the private, that's basically usable for companies and enterprises. If you want to play with it on your own, it is free. And everything you do will be public. You will be able to share with people who do not have testRigor accounts right there. And it will be searchable online. It will become one of the examples of in testRigor. So if you want to play it yourself, it's absolutely free, including infrastructure. Okay, so next question.
Next one is what about security issues where we don't want to expose certain things to outer world?
Yeah, for that, we are SOC 2 and HIPAA compliant. So we have banks using us as SaaS right now. However, there is also an option to deploy on premise. It's just a more expensive option.
Great. testRigor is not a paid tool. I guess this you have already answered, but yeah, if you may
Yeah, there
want
are
to add something.
options. There are free option, and there is option which is paid.
Cool. So I guess this is not a question. So far covering test case generation from GUI URL of the web page.
Okay. Yes, so
Okay, yeah.
this
So
is
that's what.
yeah, and basically in testRigor we support a lot of different stuff. You can deal with graphical UI interfaces for web, mobile, native desktop, but we also support API testing, phone calls, text messages, two-factor authentication, accessing databases, a lot of different stuff. You can scan QR codes. resolve captcha, and so on and so forth. So literally anything you can do manually, testRigor will be able to do it for you. However, we solve mostly test maintenance problem for GUI applications. So when you think of testRigor, it's end-to-end tests, including UI. So this is where you will have the most value.
Okay, great. And like, would you like to just quickly tell, like, we were doing lots of stuff when you written the description of the website and it was generating the test case. So was it be will it be generate one test case scenario or one scenario, one big scenario about that application, or it will be able to like your generative AI will be able to generate multiple test cases when we give the description of the website or the application?
Both.
Okay, do we have that option, like whether you want to generate one scenario or multiple, something like that?
So
Means can
you
we control that?
generate. It's a little bit different, different things, though, right? So when you starting a new application, and we will add the button here as well soon, so you can
Okay,
generate test cases for sections of your application, not just for a full application. It will generate different test cases. So basically, we'll come up with different test cases to cover. This is kind of for probably smaller startups, because working for an enterprise, well, I'm sure you already have like 10,000 test cases documented. You
yeah,
probably don't need to our tool to tell you what needs to be tested. Um, but we will have that option. So it will generate kind of high level features and test cases which it thinks is most important to cover with the tests. And then based on those descriptions, it will generate the test cases in there. Or you can basically get to your test case management system and copy paste those test cases from it. We do have integrations with TestRail, Zephyr, and X-Ray, but it's other way around at this point. We will, when you run test cases in testRigor, you can associate them with test cases in those test case management systems. And the testRigor, once executed the test case, it will set the status of it in test case management system.
great.
So I see also there is a question about VPN.
That is for Slack result.
I see.
So we'll not take the Slack result questions today, guys. If you have any question related to this generative AI today's webinar, today's topic, then please let us know. Okay. And so one another thing I would like to ask, is this feature, the one, this generative AI thing, is already live on testRigor product, or it is in beta stage or something?
It is live. You can play with it even on free account right now.
Awesome. Then definitely I'm gonna try this. This is like something really great.
So
And yeah, please go ahead.
I see with CSV import functionality, yes, we do have that. So if you go to test data and data sets, you can create a new data set.
Before
And
that, there is one more question.
you can upload CSV.
Great.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Don't we need to write any XPath for elements here?
No, that's exactly the point of testRigor in general, where it helps you to avoid dealing with XPaths and CSS selectors. So this way, you're not hooking up to any particular element, like where it's located. You're not hooking up to HTML structure. You're just saying, hey, I need to enter something into find input, and then regardless how it is rendered, testRigor will find this find input for you and will deal with this. And very interesting. So in general, testRigor is, in a sense, human emulator, quote unquote. So we built it in a way that it will execute your instructions the way you would do it manually, as opposed to how you would write code for it. As I mentioned, the main reasoning for that was a significant reduction in test maintenance, because as soon as it will work for you manually, it will work in testRigor. And examples of that would be, let's say, labels for inputs, right? Sometimes like there is no placeholder on input, but there is a text on the left or above it saying, hey, this is, let's say, first name. So in testRigor, even if there is no connection in HTML whatsoever, and there is no connection on mobiles and native desktop applications, you can still say, hey, I want to enter something into first name, and it will work, because testRigor will visually associate whatever looks like a label with an input for you. So it will figure out, okay, so you're trying to enter into first name input, like there is this input, and we've associated whatever looks like a label for it, which says first name. So I'm going to use that label to enter into this input. So it will do it automatically for you. That's just one example. There's multiple like that all over the place. It's also very easy to work with tables based on how they look, as opposed to based on how they render in HTML. One of the great advantages of using testRigor and saying, hey, I want to click delete button on a row containing this unique ID in column actions. It doesn't matter how your table is rendered.
So everything will be taken care. There's another question, Artem, for you.
This is, for example, here, you can say click on delete. If you enable machine learning based image classification, it will classify this input, this button as delete. You can say click on delete on a row containing SPK2 and column actions. And today maybe your table is rendered as HTML table. Tomorrow engineers will change it to be div-based rendering. It doesn't matter, it will still continue to work. And this is exactly where you want it to continue to work. Okay, so
Few more questions, Artem, for you. Yeah. Does it do anything like Selenium or Appium?
Yes. testRigor is a superset of both Selenium and Appium. You can do everything you can do with Selenium and Appium, and significantly more than that.
Great.
So basically, we have in documentation, there is a JavaScript support. You can execute JavaScript on top of testRigor.
Great. Thanks, Rini, for joining. Good to see you here. Another question is, will it work for mobile apps? So I guess yes. We've already answered.
Yes, it does work for mobile apps. So let me
Okay.
find
Would you like
some
to demo
sample.
something? Yeah.
I have like gazillion of these applications. The browser starts to slow down. Anyway, so this is an example of native mobile, in this case, Android application. So the difference would be you will trigger a test by uploading new application, or you can just rerun it without uploading a new one. And so this is this is how it works. As you can see, exact same thing. And you can also use AI exactly same way here. I think like short that ready and ready. Well, I'm not sure I'm specifying it right, but let's see. Yeah. Or confirm this. Yep, but it will kick it off. So you can use basically with mobile applications. Moreover, it's very easy to work with both mobile and web in the same test case. So you can create mobile test suite, you can open URL, and you can switch between them back and forth.
Good. The next one we have, how do we train the AI to identify test cases related to, say, application like GuideWire?
You don't. There is no way for you to train it. It will just figure out stuff on its own.
Great.
So let me see
Maybe,
if there's something.
Rachit, you can give any example or URL of the application if you are okay, guidewire.com. We got it.
Yeah, well, it sounds like there is some kind of desktop application. It's not just this website. So basically, right now, testRigor will work well with common sense applications. It will soon be able to, out of the box, AI will know exactly how to work with all major CRM and ERP systems, including SAP, Salesforce, and so on and so forth. So you'll be able to use, let's say, Salesforce terminology to navigate around Salesforce. But currently, there is no way to train it per se for any particular application. You'll have to basically just rely on common sense. If something is common sense, then it will be able to figure it out. Alternatively, what you can do is you can define your rules. If you remember, you can say, hey, yes, it wasn't able to do anything, no problem. I will specify exactly what needs to be done. And that's it. So this is how you train it in a sense. So you tell it, hey, like this thing means this. So and then you can use your own rules across the board. So it's limited right now, but happy to chat if you have other better ideas. Then we'll be happy to do that for you.
Great. Thanks, Artem. Another one is, does it work for testing desktop-based application?
Yes, it does. So when I create the test case here, next is type of testing. And one of the options is the remote desktop. Currently, you can test Windows applications, Windows native applications through remote desktop. We have an article on how to set it up in details. And then once you set up your VM or the box, whatever, you can provide address, username, and password to log in to this remote desktop. And currently just Windows is supported to test your native desktop applications. Let's find set up native. I'm switching on testRigor. Yeah, so this is it. So it talks about, is it? Yeah, probably. Yeah, I guess this is it.
Yes.
I guess I shared with Sanjay, and Sanjay will be able to share it with you guys.
Yeah, you can just paste me. I will share it here. Okay, so the next one is this is, I guess, the follow up question on that Android app testing. So basically, we have to upload whole APK IPA here.
Yes, so there are several options how you deal with mobile applications. The testRigor by default out of the box will provide simulators and emulators for you. Emulators for Android are available even in a free version, I believe. And if you want to work with IPAs, we suggest working with a Lambda test. We have integration with Lambda test. We can also use your account if you have an account already for BrowserStack or SourceLab or anything like that. Basically, any infrastructure provider. And you will be able to run APKs on IPAs on physical devices. So, in a sense, yes.
The next one is
yes,
so
of
yes.
course, you would need to upload the whole thing.
This is from Srini. So testRigor does not do automation.
testRigor is not a system integrator. We partner with a lot of system integrators that use testRigor to do automation. We are a tool to help people to become significantly more productive and solve this maintenance problem.
Great. The next one is how can we integrate our test cases with Git using testRigor?
Yeah, great question. So in testRigor, all test cases are not just plain English, we are plain text, as you can imagine. So it's like literally text, right? And of course, you can keep that text in your Git. We have a CI/CD integration section. Like there's a lot of different things you can do. But basically, not only you can trigger testRigor from your CI/CD, but you can also override test cases, rules, test data, and settings, or basically anything you have in testRigor from from these APIs. You just specify stuff and it will override whatever is in the UI. So you can basically keep all your test cases in Git and work off of a Git. And we are working on command line to make it much easier. The first version of command line is already out there, but it's pretty limited. If you'd like to stay tuned, you can, I believe, Node.js testRigor. Google it. Seriously, where's Node.js? Okay, it's called npm, I guess. And if you yeah, this is it. So it's basically testRigor CLI. It will in future help you out with your with dealing with your test cases and other data stored in your Git. You can do it right now. It's just a little bit more effort because you need to construct everything yourself through API. But we're working on providing all the same functionality and much more through command line. Well, it's pretty limited right now. All it will do is it will just trigger retesting, but we will soon make it work properly in a lot of different use cases. And part of it is what we already released is you can actually extract all the data you have. You can export it. And it basically contains everything, all the test cases, test data, data sets, rules, and settings as text. So you can select the formats. And here, as you can see, there are several formats we support.
They can find the documentation for this on your
there
website.
is no documentation yet
Okay.
but once we are finished, we have all the functionality we intend to release for command line. We will create documentation on how to use it in command line. So, well, this is a very long answer. The short answer is yes, you can, but you have to do a little bit more work to manually construct APIs to pass all the data. Well, not manually, maybe you have to write the scripts yourselves at this point.
Cool. Another one is it possible to perform performance testing?
Yes. So I'm not sure if it's enabled by default on especially on free account, but you can talk to us and we can enable load testing in addition to performance testing measures which you have. You can set up duration, number of concurrent servers, and what you want to fail on, and kick off the load test.
Great. Thanks, very informative session. Another one is, I guess you have already answered. Can we do mobile localization testing also?
Yes. So for localization testing or internationalization, I guess. So you can create a data set and provide, well, maybe upload, I guess, CSV upload CSV with all of your strings for different languages. And then once you have a data set already, then you can go to a test case and link the data set to test case. And it will basically run your test case on all the rows of this data set. So this is how you would test multiple languages.
Great. Okay, so I guess we have covered pretty much all the questions. Any other questions, guys, before we wrap up? Okay, cool. Yep, that was a great session, Artem. Thanks for joining and enlightening us for this with this generative AI. I think it is like really promising. Looking forward to like more such innovative features. Anything you would like to share with the audience? The last message.
Yes, please feel free to come in and create your free accounts as mentioned. Just be careful that free accounts are open source, so whatever you're doing is public. But it's free. You can play with it on public websites as much as you would like, or you can kick off a free trial if you want to play with something which is private. We are SOC 2 HIPAA compliant, and if you have any questions, we are very happy to answer those. There is a way to request a demo on the website, and when you're requesting it, you can specify your questions, and if needed, I might be able to join your sessions, or feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Happy to answer your questions there as well.
Definitely. Thank you. Thanks so much, Artem. Thanks everyone. Thanks everyone for joining. It was great. Thank you. Bye bye.
All right.
Good day.
Thank you. Bye.